Wondered if you had seen the governor's statement that he put out this afternoon.
I did, yeah.
And I thought,
Or I didn't see it, it was read to me, so I didn't want to be specific.
okay. And any reaction to the fact that he's leaving these two kind of executive position people on the job, whereas the lower level employees that have been charged prior to this have been suspended from their work?
I think that's his decision, not mine.
And you were asked, of course, about the possible connection to the governor in relation to the investigation before, and you answered that. But separate and apart from any criminal charge, how would you rate how the governor has acted as, you know, the administrator of the state, based on what you've seen through this crisis? Not necessarily criminal or not criminal, but what have you kind of come away with in terms of judging him on how he's done his job?
You know, I don't make judgments like that, Ron. My responsibility, and in concert with David Layton and Andy Arena and Todd Flood, is to our mission and our charge is to determine what laws, if any, may have been broken concerning the Flint water crisis. And those who violated the law will be held accountable. And that's the focus and responsibility that we have, and that's how I approach this.
And can you clarify too, because you mentioned today that we're moving into the prosecutorial stage.
Yes.
More.
Which is true. I mean, there'll be trials probably in the fall, and this, you know, so that is a true statement that we will shift and turn to the prosecutorial, the trial phase of this, and everyone needs to have their day in court, and is an accurate statement of where we go.
I mean, you have to understand that while we're investigating and charging, we still have to go to court and prove our case. And I think the Attorney General wants to make it clear, we haven't lost sight of that everybody's entitled to due process. He is the chief defender of due process in the state by law, and he wants to make sure, as well as I do, that everybody gets their day in court. So that's coming, but having said that, the investigation continues.
And David said it very accurately.
Will so still be following up on leads, interviewing witnesses? That part of this is still going on, even though we're entering this phase.
Exactly. This is a big milestone. These charges we filed today, and may I add, have been thoroughly reviewed, vetted, and peer reviewed by a trial court judge who has great experience in matters like this, with David Layton. So Judge Hort, retired Judge David Hort, and David Layton, the two Davids, have peer reviewed the charging documents, the elements of the crime, and in addition to the skill of Andy Arena, who's, you know, former head of the FBI in Detroit, is, you know, unquestioned with his talent and integrity. Todd Flood, you know, a tough trial lawyer, and we've had the wisdom of former Chief Judge of the Michigan Court of Appeals, Bill Whitbeck. So we've had a powerful legal team of bright minds and a multitude of counselors that have been part of this whole decision making.
We see Todd Flood in court as there's different appearances that are going on. Will he be the primary prosecutor on all of these cases?
Yes, he is the special counsel. He'll be the primary prosecutor, but working with David Layton. And so David and Todd will work out who handles what, and some of his talented assistants as well. So this is you know, and I've said this at the start of the press conference, that some may have forgotten if you live in the state of Michigan, some have no idea if you're from overseas or New York or Chicago, that David and I had a spirited campaign in 2010. But now we are great friends, and he played and is playing an incredibly valuable and substantive role in this investigation. So we'll go forward in tandem.
And I would just add to that that's what I call, and I think the Attorney General agrees with me, that's what I call good government. That's right. What the people expect us to do.
That's right. That's right.
I tried to ask this during the press conference, and I'm not sure I got it out the right way, but
maybe you did.
Is it important? Is it important And have you reached the conclusion that, because it's important to people here, have you reached the conclusion that the river was the source of the Legionnaires? Or does it matter in terms of the charges that these folks are facing? In other words, if they did something illegal, does it really matter whether or not the Legionnaires came from the river, or does what really matter their actions in response to knowing there was a Legionnaires outbreak, regardless of where it came from?
I'll let David add to this, but all this is part of what everybody's day in court is about. And so there'll be a trial, and then there'll be evidence presented, and you have to argue your case, and facts will have to be demonstrated, and some facts will be challenged, and then that goes to a jury, and that's how our system works. You may want to elaborate on that.
We believe that those charged with involuntary manslaughter had a duty to protect the public health. We believe they willfully breached that duty to protect the public health. We're going to show in court how they did that. You might be able to glean some additional information from the charging documents. But the fact of the matter is that whether it was the river or whether they determined that it was some other source, they knew it and they didn't act. That's the gist of our case.
So there's no argument that there was a Legionnaires outbreak, right?
Well,
We
talk to Robert Skidmore. Talk to the people who've lost their lives. Numerous people have lost their lives. That story I mentioned, this woman who came up, it was in December, and I was we had a thank you gathering, a thank you party for the people who've contributed funds and food for the Michigan Harvest Gathering. This is this effort that my wife and I have been doing for 25 years to help stock the shelves of food banks and pantries across Michigan, like the Genesee County Food Bank, as an example. There's 7 of these regional food banks, and they distribute to pantries and soup kitchens across the state of Michigan. A woman came up and gave me a big hug, and after I thanked her for the hug, I said, tell me your story. And that's when she told me that her father was one of the many people who died of Legionnaire's disease. Now, that just reinforces everything that what we're doing in this investigation is about, is providing justice for this woman whose dad died because of Legionnaires. Now, and those who want to ignore that, and those who want to just say forget about lead poisoning in Flint, I can't believe just the sheer audacity and arrogance of people like that, and hope that this will be forgotten and go away, and that no one was responsible. I mean, how can that be? Well, that's not true. So our whole job is about justice.
And can you address too the funding, the need for additional funding to carry out these prosecutions, continuing investigation?
I'm confident that that funds will be appropriated to deliver justice for Flint. This is just a reminder and encouragement that this is important and it has to happen.
Good.
I know you guys are running behind.